Look at these buildings right next to me.
They're empty.
They're 75% of their employees are gone. They've destroyed all these companies out here.
The penalties that are associated with this are ridiculous. I can't even understand how they comprehend that up in Sacramento.
Because we didn't do anything wrong.
And we've laid off 3/4 of our staff.
Companies are filing bankruptcy, employees are losing jobs, they're losing benefits.
To have to tell someone today's your last day, we're being sued, this is how it's affecting us. That's a nightmare.
We like to call them pirates. I mean, They come in under the PAGA flag and they sail in, they rape and pillage, they take their plunder and they return back to their homes.
So now we turn everything over and they find a pay stub that's missing a date and voila, they're rich.
It's just abuse, and the only reason he's doing it is that I have to keep spending money to defend it.
This is California's legal way of extortion. I would recommend that you settle today.
Hi, I'm Assemblywoman Shannon Grove, and like me, you're probably appalled about what you just heard. In recent years, unscrupulous attorneys have taken advantage of a poorly written state law to legally extort millions of dollars from thousands of California businesses. The law is called the Private Attorney General Act, or PAGA, P-A-G-A for short. Business owners in my district and across this state have been hit over and over with these multi-million-dollar PAGA lawsuits for the tiniest of labor code violations. Their businesses suffer financially, and so do the employees when these lawsuits hit. Over the last couple of years, being in California hasn't been that easy for most business owners, including you. Can you tell me your story, a little bit of it?
Well, had one employee that wanted to sue me.
And what was he suing you for?
Sue me for supposedly not taking his lunch breaks after every 5 hours. He's supposed to take a 30-minute break.
So now let's talk about that for just a second. Your employees don't work right here in this shop. They're out in the field that we see across the street.
Yes.
So it's kind of up to them as grown men and women that work for you to make sure that they take their meal and rest periods, that they clock out for lunch, just like you guys do, right?
Correct.
Okay. So you had one employee that says he didn't do it?
Correct.
Now, but you had to take precautions. You made sure you asked or something, right? You know? They know they're supposed to take it.
Sure. It was even signed policy for them that they all have to take a 30-minute break after every 5 hours worked. Even if it's a 10-hour day, they have to take a second 30-minute break.
So this one employee, he leaves and he files a lawsuit, and what did that end up costing you and your business and your employees that are still here?
Over $200,000. I can't afford it. I'll be gone. These men they'll be supporting them because they only live so long on unemployment, and then the state has to support them. If there's no jobs out there, which I mean, look at these buildings right next to me.
They're empty.
They're 75% of their employees are gone. They've destroyed all these companies out here.
So I'm sorry that your business was hit, but we're working hard to try to get it fixed.
I appreciate it, Shannon.
Okay.
Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, darling.
And so can you tell me a little bit about your PAGA case?
We had a supervisor that was an exempt employee, company pickup expense account, who worked for us about 6 months in Ventura. It didn't work out. He couldn't seem to come to work. He ended up quitting, actually. He ended up coming back to us 2.5 to 3 years later and filed a lawsuit on behalf of all the truck drivers that work for us. He's not a class representative, but the judge is letting the case move on. He said, well, if he never got a lunch break or rest period, maybe other people in the company didn't either. Typically what the plaintiff attorneys do is they keep filing motions and complaints, and in our case, this attorney has filed 4 lawsuits against us, 2 in Kern County with 2 different plaintiffs and 2 in Ventura County. So we now have 2 Kern County, 2 Ventura County, and he just sent me a notice the other day with another employee that he wants to go to arbitration now. So he's forum shopping. And the judge is letting him get away with it because we've sent in motions. This is what it just keeps costing you money. Every time you file another motion, it's about $10,000 to $20,000 to get your attorneys to do that. And so he keeps filing them, and we keep having to defend him. That's how we spent $450,000.
And you just want your day in court?
Yeah. The penalties that are associated with this are ridiculous. I can't even understand how they comprehend that up in Sacramento. People are being unemployed here in Kern County because of not only the lawsuits, the industry is slow, and now we have the burden of paying $40,000 a month on lawsuits, and nobody can afford to do it, and companies are filing bankruptcy, employees are losing jobs, they're losing benefits. We can't even allow our employees to hang out in the parking lot and visit with each other before or after work because it could be considered post-work or pre-work. So then we're the bad guys because we tell them they have to get in their cars and leave. Another company in town was sued because they gave everybody a ride to the job site. It cost them $1.2 million. How do they let the attorneys have the abuse of the process? How do they allow an attorney like our attorney that's filed against us to have the same lawsuit filed in 2 counties, 4 different judges, and let him continue with that? It's just abuse, and the only reason he's doing it is that I have to keep spending money to defend it until I finally give up and settle with him. And every one of these settlements are $1.5 million to $3 million that I know of so far.
You found out about Douglas Hahn and the PAGA lawsuits. How did that come about?
Well, we had a disgruntled employee. We asked him to take a drug test. He didn't want to take the drug test, and then 2 weeks later we heard from Douglas Hahn.
So you were giving people a bonus to work safely and to turn in their paperwork. It was like kind of an incentive for your employees. If they did all the paperwork and they worked safely and they went home to their families, they got an additional bonus from you as a company owner.
Oh yeah, and you know, the employees look forward to it and give them incentive to do the right things, and the people we work for, they appreciated it too.
Douglas Hahn twisted your bonus into an overtime, a mispayment of overtime. So basically he made it sound like because you paid him a bonus, you were trying to rob your employees of that overtime.
Yes, unfortunately I didn't know the law existed. If I knew it existed, we would have took care of it, but had no idea. We never had a complaint. Not one employee ever said, hey, don't pay me my bonus.
So what was the first ask Douglas Hahn threw out at you?
$14.5 million.
Can you afford $14.5 million?
No. Well, after we'd spent months going through our records, our files, multiple attorneys going through the whole thing, they asked to come down to a mediation, try to settle it. So we did, went down to Hollywood, went up Wilshire Boulevard, all the way up on top, could look out over the whole world out there, LA. And the mediator set us down, sent myself down and my son Brian and Rod Ledesma set us down, and he says, hey look, he says, I don't want to hear that they did this or they did that. I'll never forget it. He says, this is California's legal way of extortion. I would recommend that you settle today. And it was pretty heartbreaking.
What was the ended up settlement?
$1.5 million.
And what was the result of that $1.5 million for your company?
Well, it basically forced a lot of layoffs. We stopped our 401k contributing. We still have a 401k, but we stopped contributing into it. Their bonus went completely away, and we've laid off 3/4 of our staff.
This is a travesty and a great injustice. Our government is supposed to protect us from extortion and theft, not encourage it or enable it. The irony of all of this is that PAGA was supposed to protect employees from abuse, but instead it's being used to destroy the jobs and paychecks that these businesses provide. Over the past 6 years, over 34,000 PAGA cases have been filed against California companies. Again, only attorneys are getting rich off of PAGA. The last thing we need is for this state to give businesses any other reason to lay off more workers, cut benefits, move out of state, or close down. California should reward its businesses that are serving its customers and treating their employees fairly, not crush them for failing to keep up with the state's constantly changing administrative rules. This is piracy. It's legal extortion through a poorly written state law that needs to stop. PAGA must be reformed or repealed altogether.